Jaylon Johnson makes it clear that his summer absence had absolutely nothing to do with his contract. We're going to talk about his comments there. We're also going to talk about Kmet's comments on Caleb Williams and the growth that he's seen from him there. We're also going to talk about PFF's initial power rankings and where they have the Chicago Bears. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Sarah Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today. So Jaylon Johnson, who returned to practice yesterday alongside Jaquan Brisker and Kyle Monangai, more on that on a second, was interviewed by Pro Football Talk, and he talked about his summer absence and why kind of the thought process and the concern that it had something to do with this contract. Many people will remember that on the Rich Eisen show, he was talked a little bit about it in his contract, and he said this. Just really seeing a lot of the other corners getting paid. I almost feel like we need to have another discussion coming up here soon. The market is moving. As long as I keep myself and keep playing at a high level, there definitely are going to be some more conversations coming up soon and really keep it long term. Now, Bears fans, as we know, we are a knee-jerky fan base as a whole. Not every single person, but when you talk about the collective. And of course, Bears fans heard that, and especially with how the Bears season went, the Bears fans just generally hating life took that to mean something that it never really meant. I always looked at those comments and thought that, hey, the fact of the matter, he said is if he keeps playing at a high level, there'll be some conversations coming up soon. But then, shortly after that, Jaylon Johnson was missing some time. And so for the people that had those concerns over his comments there, it naturally reinvigorated that and spiced that up a little bit to be like, okay, what's happening here? Where Jaylon Johnson has made it clear, he said this, you know me better than that. I never held out. I've never done any of that stuff. For the media, it's a good play as far as the contract and timing of things, but I'm not that type of cat. And that's always what I've personally thought about Jaylon Johnson. Say what you will about Jaylon, say what you will about his performance. It's almost like every time that there is a criticism about him from this Bears fan base, he answers it. I remember the year before he signed his contract extension, everybody was like, oh my God, well, not everybody, but so many Bears fans were like, oh my God, but he doesn't get interceptions. And, while I've said before, looking at just that interception number is a stat that people can look at that's more tangible, right? But when you look at the passer rating that Jaylon Johnson allows, the completion percentage that Jaylon Johnson allows when he's there, there was no doubt about it that he is an elite cornerback. It's just the fact that teams did not go to his side of the field. He then responded in that season with this high number of interceptions ever, leading into him getting a contract extension, right? And that contract extension there. Now, where some of the interception things have come back up, no doubtedly, Jaylon Johnson and the defense as a whole, the numbers took a big dip last season after, the Bears season just took a dip. And so there was leading in already a bad taste in Bears fans' mouth in regards to that. And then you have him this summer talking about the market and the contracts and things like that. And it naturally led to the place that it led to. But Jaylon Johnson seems locked in. We already talked about the goals that he had set for himself for this season, where he wants to have an amazing season. He wants to be an all-pro. He wants to be able to do those things. And so Jaylon now, under a new defensive coordinator in Dennis Allen, is going to have his opportunity. And, we'll see what he does here. But this is a big season for Jaylon, not because of the market or the contract, restructuring or anything like that, but it's a big season for the Bears as a whole, because a lot of the excuses are going to be eliminated because now there is trust in the Chicago Bears coaching staff. We'll see if that trust maintains over a full season. I know my Bears fans, it can go left very quick. If the Bears go out to an 0-2 start, oh my God, watch how Bears fans turn on Ben Johnson, and they'll be calling for the head of Ryan Poles. Oh my God, you drafted don't let Colston Loveland start off a little rough either. But, with that said, it's good to see that Jaylon is in the right mindset. And we had an emergency video on it yesterday, breaking news. Jaylon Johnson, Kyle Monangai, Jaquan Brisker, all return to practice for the Chicago Bears. The Bears are going to take the day off in practice today, which is important. There's with having a game on Monday, It's good for them to get a day off. They'll be in practice every day other than that. And so now they get to lock in. And, getting those guys back before week 1 is important. Now, they have not been cleared yet to play in week 1 yet, as we know, but you do expect the injury report to be out here sooner rather than later. I do think that they plan on coming out with that injury report today. Once that's out, we'll go over that. We'll look at that. So expect another episode from us today. If you guys are on the podcast side, the breaking news episodes don't always get released as an audio podcast. It just depends on the length of them. Sometimes the breaking news episodes, like literally the injury report, will probably be like a 5-minute video. I'll put a 5-minute audio out there, so make sure you guys are subscribed over at the YouTube channel if you want that content. But, getting those guys back, and you want the Bears at close to full health as possible. This is a difficult start to the season. And, I've said it many times, the Bears can't afford to get out to a slow start. You just can't this season with how things are shaping up and how they're going. So you need to be locked in there. And if the Bears are locked in and ready, things are going to go well for the Bears. So let's hope that they can do that. Let's hope that the Bears are ready for this. And, Kmet guy is a guy that, I really do hope he surprises some people this year, no matter what that looks like. As a 7th round pick, it's kind of easy to surprise some people. But for a running back room that needs as much talent, that needs as much surprise, that needs as much production as possible, no knock to DeAndre Swift or Roschon for that matter. But I think when you look at it, there's no doubt about it that the Bears need solid production from that running back room, and we don't have the best running back room on paper. So that means that that the room itself, right, and coming together combined are going to have a solid season. And so we don't have an update on Roschon as it stands right now, but you got Kmet guy back there, so that's good. You're going to have him, DeAndre Swift, hopefully by week 1. They can activate Britton Brown if they need to do that as well for some more depth there. Travis Homer already on injury reserve himself. You get Jaquan Brisker back. I've said it many times. The Bears are a better team when Jaquan Brisker's on the football field for them. Now, he has to stay healthy, and that is what everybody's looking at for him this season, is staying healthy, right? Because we know he's over 100 tackles. He's going to be used to do some pass rush things. He's going to be used in coverage. He's going to be used as a linebacker sometimes. Like, he's going to be used a lot of different ways as Jaquan Brisker under Dennis Allen, but you got to keep your ass on the football field and stay healthy. And then, for Jaylon Johnson, we already know what it is for Jaylon to be out there. He helps the pass rush so much. He helps everybody's jobs and roles that much more. And with having Terrell Smith down, having Deshaun Wright out there, Jaylon Jones back here now in the fold as well for the Bears. Jaylon Johnson is the leader in that cornerback room, and Kyle Gordon's going to have a big role himself as that nickel corner for the Chicago Bears. So we'll see what the future does hold there. Overall, we'll see what those guys bring. But moving on to the next topic, I do want to talk about Cole Kmet and his comments around Caleb Williams and the growth that he's seen from Caleb in the Bears' new offense, orchestrated by Ben Johnson. And, we haven't even really begun to scratch the surface of what this offensive playbook is going to look like for the Chicago Bears under Ben Johnson. Haven't even scratched that, really, right? And so now getting to see, hopefully, the leap and the step that Caleb Williams makes from year 1 to year 2 is big there. But Cole Kmet wants to see it as well, where he says this: I think his whole pre-snap process, that's continued to grow from April up until now. I know he's taking a lot of pride in dialing that in and getting it right. A lot of coaches will tell you that a lot of snaps are won before that is even snapped. So pre-snap process is huge for all of us. But obviously, especially the quarterback position, and I think Caleb has taken a lot of great steps there. You need Caleb Williams to make a step this year. Now, I know the Bajan Baddies are ready, prepared, and willing and able that if Caleb Williams disappoints, to be calling for Tyson Bajan to be the starting quarterback. But it's up to Caleb Williams to go and grow, right? And Ben Johnson's already talked about it. It's not that they expect Caleb Williams to be a finished product or anything yet, but they're expecting him to not make the same mistake multiple times, to learn from what he's doing. I think that's a big thing as well. And, Cole Kmet continued talking about the benefits of the cadence of the offense for Caleb Williams, where he said this: I think that's something that coaches have harped on him, and he's had no choice but to get better, and that's been evident. I feel like my last game up in Kansas City was one of the better games getting off the football, and a lot of that is because of Caleb's cadence, his rhythm. So he's really developed in that regard, and that's a huge advantage for us up front, getting off the football and getting on our blocks, and when the quarterback is dialed in, and you need Caleb Williams to be dialed in. That's just it, period, point blank. Caleb has to be dialed in this season. He's talked about it, and when he was announced as a captain, talking about not only getting the team ready and those type of things, but also when the team messes up, when you need to rally, how do you then rally that team? And that's going to be a big part of all of this. And, that's good. Now, Cole Kmet was not done. He talked about one of the key improvements that he's seen from Caleb Williams, where he also said this. Yeah, well, I think identification of defenses and obviously knowing certain areas to kill zero looks type of deals. I'm sure there's some growth things that in terms of how maybe Ben wants that and how he sees it and seeing it through Ben's eyes. But I think I've seen him really take hold of that starting in spring up until now. One of the biggest things that Caleb Williams naysayers will have you believe is that Caleb Williams can't read defenses. And like I've said many times before, it's going to take for Caleb Williams to prove that and silence those doubters. And we'll see if we can do that. Now, Roma Dunze was on the podcast with the St. Brown brothers, and they even talked about the criticism that Caleb gets lobbied. But the one thing that I always say this is that criticism comes with being a starting quarterback in the NFL. And when you're the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears, the Bears that have disappointed at that position for years, that has disappointed as a team for more than not for years, there's always going to be a different level of criticism when that all comes out. And that's now up to the Chicago Bears to eliminate that. And we'll see if they can do that this season. I hope that they can. We'll see. But overall, it's going to be one of those things where nobody is going to fully believe of what Caleb can be until he proves it. Well, let me not say nobody. There are some people that do already, right? But he's going to have to prove it. And once he proves it on the football field, at that point, your doubters turn into haters. And that's Caleb Williams' job here, is to turn the doubters to haters. Is that right now there's legitimate reason to have doubts around Caleb Williams. That just is what it is. I don't care how people feel about me saying that. It doesn't mean that I don't think Caleb is going to be great, but there are legitimate reasons to have doubt about Caleb Williams. But Caleb, if he's winning, if he's proven and he's improving in those areas, then that turns those doubters into haters if they just keep on the same narrative. So it's up to Caleb to prove that wrong. Caleb, Ben Johnson, all those type of things. And this is an important season to see what Caleb can be, because we've improved now the coaching. And so we've improved the offensive line. We've improved the weapons, right? So, we've improved a lot of the things around Caleb Williams. Not saying that those things are all perfect. Not to say that there ain't going to be the things that pop up during the season that are concerns. Those things are going to be there. But I think that overall, we've improved in a lot of those areas now that puts the spotlight on what Caleb can be and how he can grow in year two. And we'll see what he can do. Now, next up, we're going to be talking about PFF and their initial power rankings and where they have the Chicago Bears. But first, we got to get to a message from DraftKings.
You guys know I love every single sport. All I do is watch sports between NFL, NBA, MLB, even NHL. All I'm doing all day long is watching sports. And because of that, I've decided to team up with DraftKings Sportsbook, have exclusive offer for you guys. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 instantly in bonus bets and $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. All you got to do is use our code BEARCENTRAL at signup. You're already here. You know the name of the channel. Just use that same name of the channel that you watch every single day, Bear Central, to get this exclusive offer. The next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it with DraftKings Sportsbook. Tell them Hayes sent you.
All right, so PFF does their initial power rankings, and while I do think offseason power rankings after free agency and the draft are really pointless, right? Because what has really changed? I do guess you have preseason games in there. We've gotten a better look at things and stuff like that. And PFF, for what it's worth, have the Bears ranked at 18th in the initial power ranking, saying this. The Bears have been offseason darlings for 2 years in a row, but this time feels different. The addition of Ben Johnson as head coach and the staff he's brought in should have fans feeling confident. The roster doesn't possess the star power of the Lions group, but the front office has completely retooled the offensive line, potentially setting the stage for Caleb Williams to break out in year two. Now, 18th in the power rankings, I will say this. I think it's fair. Based off what the Bears did last year, based off the fact that even in preseason, it's not like we looked absolutely amazing, right, in preseason. We've had our moments. We've had some moments of concern, some things that haven't changed for this Bear team. Braxton Jones still the starting left tackle. Our pass rush is still questionable until they prove otherwise, right? You have those type of things. Injuries have already been a thing. And I've said this many times, until the Bears prove it on the football field, we are always going to be the little brother in the NFC North. That just is what it is. And we're going to continue to be that until we prove otherwise. But when you look at PFF's rankings, they have the Vikings ranked at number 1 with an 11% chance to win the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles at number 2 with a 9% chance to win the Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills at number 3. The Kansas City Chiefs at number 4. The Detroit Lions at number 5. Packers at number 6. I think that's a little high for the Packers, but it is what it is. The Commanders at number 7. The Bengals at number 8. The Rams at number 9. And the Minnesota Vikings to round out the top 10. What does that tell you when you look at that, right? Is that 3 of the NFC North teams are ranked in the top 10 of the overall PFF grades. And so that just shows you how difficult of a test is in front of the Chicago Bears going into this, man. This is going to be a long road ahead for the Bears. And I missed that. The Minnesota Vikings as well. Is it 4? It's 4 teams out of the NFC North that are in the top 10. That's crazy. That's crazy. But so the Bears, they got a lot that they need to prove, man. And I don't think that's going to change by the Bears just having a solid offseason. You have to prove it by what you do and how you perform and those type of things. And so it's up for the Bears to bring that. And so the Bears ranked there at number 18, and now we get to see what the Bears can do with what they have. And we'll see what happens there. Overall, 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC North are ranked in the top 10. The Bears sit there. They have a 1% chance via PFF of being ranked in the or winning the Super Bowl, I should say. They do have the Bears' biggest offseason addition as Joe Thuney, and the Bears' biggest offseason loss as being Tevin Jenkins, for what's that worth and how you view it. But I'm not mad at this ranking. I think that this is a fair ranking, and I think when you look at it, when you look at everything that's here with this team and some of the doubt, the Bears still have a lot of prove-it players, right? And that's not a bad thing. Montez Sweat got to prove it this year. Dayo Odeyingbo has to prove it. Grady Jarrett, there's some doubt around him. There's some doubt around the Bears' pass rush overall. A linebacking core, Tremaine Edmonds hasn't necessarily been the best or exactly what we brought him in here to be. Now, there have been some signs that show that Tremaine Edmonds may be getting back to being that linebacker that we wanted him to be in coverage when we signed him under Dennis Allen, with the way that Dennis Allen has used him in coverage. And I, for one, hope that that's true. I hope that Tremaine Edmonds has his best year in coverage ever under Dennis Allen. Jaquan Brisker has the injuries at the safety. All those things are legitimate. So, one thing about me as a Bears fan is that I do recognize where the Bears are, right? And I recognize that even with me being a huge fan of this team, the doubt around the Chicago Bears. So, the Bears being ranked as the lowest team in the NFC North, it's not surprising there. And the Bears got to prove otherwise. We're the little brother of the NFC North, and that's it. And the Lions, the Vikings, and the Green Bay Packers all get to pat us on the head and say, good job, until we prove otherwise. And this is a season of not only hopefully growth from the Chicago Bears, but this is a season, like I said on yesterday's episode, a growth of a year of laying down the foundation of what this team could be with this new phase that we're under. And we'll see what happens there. Now, for what it's worth as well, FanSided also shared their power rankings for week 1, and the Bears are there at number 19. So I think the Bears have no lack of motivation. If you're looking around the NFL and the doubt around this team, they're going to find all the motivation that they need, because there's almost nothing but doubt for the Chicago Bears right now. And like I said, I'm not going to be a front runner or act like I don't understand it. It's all legitimate. Every bit of the doubt that you have for the Chicago Bears is all legitimate. And so the Bears have to prove what they can be this season. And right now, there's going to be nobody outside of your most staunch Chicago Bears fans that believe that this team could be amazing this season. They have to go out and prove it. And so we'll see what they can do. I look at the first 4 games of the season for the Chicago Bears being a great way. It could be a palate cleanser for how the Bears season ended last year outside the Green Bay Packers win, giggity, is to really cleanse the palate and this team to come out competitive this year. And if they can come out competitive, I do think that excitement, I do think more realization, I do think more belief in the Chicago Bears can steadily start growing. And if that continues for this team, then we'll see what we can be, man, this season. And I would love nothing more than to be able to call a winning season this year, because most of y'all know us here at Chicago Bears Central have not gotten to call a winning season for the Bears since we started this damn show. So we haven't gotten to do that. I would love nothing more than to be able to call a winning season. I would love nothing more than to be able to say, hey, we are now the team that's on the uptick, and we're a team that's taking the necessary steps to start being a team that can make some actual noise in the NFC. I would love to call a playoff game. I would love that. Like, I would absolutely love it. I know C-Dub, y'all see what C-Dub does for a team that won 5 games. Imagine how hype C-Dub would be getting the live call a Bears playoff game. No matter how the result of that's going to be, it's time. And it seems like this front office, it seems like the Bears have really started understanding what they need to do to get to that place. Now, that doesn't mean that everything's perfect yet. The criticisms around Ryan Poles and his evaluation of the offensive line talent that he drafts is legitimate, right? While he's found some surprising, I think Braxton Jones being a starter as a rookie, and even with Braxton Jones having the flaws that he's had, when you look at some of the places where he was in pass grade and all those type of things, finding that where they got Braxton at is pretty decent eye there. But can you go out, can you find the guy? And that's still where Ryan Poles has not proven yet, is that can he find the guy? Really at any position. I don't think anybody that Ryan Poles has drafted that you're looking at as the guy, somebody that you just look at and like, hey, this guy is one of the best at his position, period. No question, no doubt about it. Now, do we have some guys that hopefully are going to be able to develop to be that? Yeah, let's hope so. And we definitely hope that we're going to be able to have that on this roster at some point. But I don't think it's unfair to say that we haven't done that yet. And so getting to that place, and hopefully we start seeing a little bit more belief in that this season. At least that's my hope. But you guys can let me know how you think and feel down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.